an effective way of making sure, what's the phrase, having skin in the game?
Correct.
An effective way. One problem I've seen with investment is that that one group, often the investor, the first investor, the idea creator, comes into it highly leveraged, so that even if they do lose the entire project, they haven't lost their home, their car, or their border collie in the process. So they walk away from it without having suffered, whereas the city or the bank might find themselves with a half-complete building. And this has been the question that is regularly posed at city council. And with 9 cats to herd at city council, sometimes they don't always agree on that approach.
Sure.
But understood.
Well, and sometimes you just have to make sure you pick the right partner.
Correct. Isn't in marriage and everything else, isn't that the case?
That's correct.
Is in terms of the city, is it bigger? Is that what we want for Fort Wayne? Do we want to continue growing out to the east, west, and south, and north? Or is it a better quality of life for everybody involved in the community? Is one exclusive of the other, or do they work with each other hand in glove?
Well, as the mayor, that's not really my decision whether it's bigger or smaller. I mean, the thing that I love about America is we all have freedom. We have freedom to choose where we live, and so sometimes cities grow and sometimes cities decline. And people make choices based on what they feel is in their best interest of themselves, or their family, or their business. What I would say, though, is this. In whatever I've done, the real issue is, are we being excellent? So we have a certain asset base that we have as a city. And the real question I think we have to ask ourselves is, are we excellent stewards of our asset base, whatever that may be? And now, after we achieve excellence, which is doing the very best we can with the time, talent, and tools that we have, then whether that attracts people to expand the city, or whether that doesn't, or whether it just means that we have better quality of life for the people that are here, that's the choice of the citizens and the people that choose to move here or not move here. But I think as we achieve excellence, what we will see is greater opportunity. We will see better job opportunities. We'll have a better quality of life. And I really do believe this, Jim, that we can become one of the elite cities in the Midwest. A place where people say, if you want to see a city where they're really being excellent and have a great community, not just a good community, because I think we have a good community, but have even a great community where we are having people come and ask us what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. The rest of that stuff is really up to the people who either choose to move here or not.
You famously said at the beginning of the campaign that you had met with some 200 folk around town. Any of those in the center of town, in the inner city, the older neighborhoods that in some cases are a little distressed?
Yes.
I mean, have you met with somebody in their living room with a little rougher?
I've actually had some of my friends, we've taken some driving tours and have been talking at length, because I really believe this, Jim, as a city, you have to have every part of your organization functioning at the best level possible. And when that occurs, you have the most opportunity for success as a city. And I think that's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, and a lot of partnership.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Well, that's many people have said it that way.
Yeah, John Kennedy's comment, and the other one was trickle down. If it's good for the suburbs, eventually it'll be good for the inner city. And that's the question. When I travel from Sycamore Hills to the beautiful Oakdale neighborhood to way out on the east side, Georgetown and Mayoral Road, and I see different communities in Fort Wayne. Some that are very comfortable, and others where, what is our unemployment rate, 10 point something, it's gone up a little bit,
10.3.
10.3. I would guess that in Sycamore Hills the unemployment rate is relatively low, and in certain corners in town on Buchanan Street, the unemployment rate is closer to 50% or higher. How do you, people in Sycamore Hills are doing fine, how do you affect improvement, jobs, training, education, a prettier neighborhood, all the aesthetics, all of the on Buchanan Street as opposed to on Sycamore Hills Drive?
Well, again,
Or do you let them wait for Sycamore Hills to send them some jobs?
well, you create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, and the private sector has to drive this. I am just one person. I'm a mayor. I'm a human being, and I'm finite, and I have limitations to what I can do. But if we can inspire people around the city to have a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, start businesses, grow businesses, employ people, and really get a sense of involvement in that activity. And that, by the way, has to come not just from the southwest or the northwest or the northeast side of Fort Wayne, but also the southeast side of Fort Wayne. And that our heroes then become people who are starting businesses and employing people and giving opportunities. And then also we as individuals have a responsibility. I still believe this, that the best form of government is self-government. And that if I'm willing to work hard on my education, read the things I'm supposed to read, do the homework I'm supposed to do, and then also follow the laws of our land, both the moral laws and the actual stated laws, I'm going to have a greater chance for success. And the thing about America that's a little tricky is that people are free to make choices, and sometimes we make really poor ones. And then we have to suffer the consequences of those. And then sometimes we make better ones, and we experience the benefit of that. And that's really not something the mayor can do anything about, other than the power of influence and encouraging people across the city and inspiring them to be better and to make better choices.
One of the your news release a couple days ago about foreclosures.
Mm-hmm.
Being a landlord, I see the housing stock problems that you spoke to. And you mentioned neighborhood code enforcement. And how would they play into this? How would you see them as taking a lead in improving the quality of our housing stock?
Well,
because if
yeah.
I may, I
Yeah,
apologize for
No, that's
interrupting
fine.
again. If I may, landlords sometimes don't do what you just described as being the best citizens of the community, and sometimes look at a property and say, well, this thing is going to last 5 years if I don't do anything to it, and maybe 7 if I really invest in it, and the return on my investment is not worth improving it, so it just kind of slide to nothing with tenants living in it. How do you get neighborhood code out there to be more aggressive?
Well, until I really am able to sit down, and you always have this issue of how many people do we have in neighborhood code enforcement, and how maxed out are they today. And you have to be real careful but at the same time, if there's a chance for us to be more proactive because of what you're talking about, it's important that our local community people in the local community clearly understand who owns the house, where that is foreclosed or where it's located, and then clearly understand what are the available ordinances that apply to making sure it's maintained and kept up and taken care of. Because what you and I both know, Jim, is if houses are allowed to go, it impacts the whole housing community around. So my value of my private property is impacted, the value of other people's private property is impacted. Then when we look at that as to how that impacts government, well, our tax base starts to decline, which means our revenues start to decline, which means it's tougher to have infrastructure dollars, which means that starts to decline, and it just becomes a cycle. And we've seen this, by the way, in other cities. So there's some other creative things that people have done that we got to look into that are maybe means for us to get people re-engaged with these houses, having a sense of pride of ownership, and then also then fixing them up and keeping them maintained. So I think it's a series of things that has to be done. I just don't think that we can put our head in the sand and pretend that it's not a problem.
Agreed.
we gotta figure out what are the creative ways that we can address it. And this again goes back to creating a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship and creativity where we're trying to discover and solve problems in a very creative way.